When I was young, I heard the call. What I didn't realize then was how long it would be before I finally answered. I was born and raised Catholic in the suburbs of Chicago, had religious order nuns, and went to the University of Notre Dame. I got married, had children, took those children on culturally meaningful summer vacations. I worked on Wall Street, was an adjunct professor at Columbia's Graduate School of Business. I had 2 German cars in the driveway and even brokered a deal for a little startup at the time called MTV. But this is really the story of how I lost it all. From a young age, I knew that something was wrong. And I came to realize that both of my parents were alcoholics. And as many do, I fell prey to alcohol. One by one, the pillars that supported my life began to crumble and fall. I lost my wife. I lost my children. I lost my position. I lost my friends and colleagues. I lost my German cars. I lost my faith. I even lost the will to live. And honestly, I have to admit, I'm a suicide survivor. But somehow I pushed on, living on the streets of the posh suburb of New York City where I once lived, using my alleged gifts to strategically map out which bakeries discarded their leftovers, developing an algorithm to lead me to where I could steal the Wall Street Journal, how to sleep sitting up on a park bench to avoid being rousted by the police. This went on for some time. I realized I'd adapted. I'd assimilated into this lifestyle. I'd gotten used to it. That's when I knew it was time to change. A man from my past recognized me on the street. He suggested I go to the Salvation Army. I remembered where the Salvation Army was, and I went for a meal. As I ate, there was a sermon being given by the cadet. The message was, "Don't judge a book by its cover." And somehow that resonated. The book she was reading from was covered in brown craft paper, and at the end she peeled it off, revealing a Bible underneath. I returned the following Sunday, and the Sunday after that, and I thought, wow, these people put their money into the work they do, not their edifice. One Sunday, I asked the Corps officer if I could meet with him one-on-one. He asked, "About what, John? Your faith or your circumstances?" I replied, "Well, a little bit of both." He asked me to meet him at 10 a.m. the following Friday, knowing I was homeless. I showed up on time. He showed up at 2 in the afternoon, intentionally. He got me into the ARC, which is the Adult Rehabilitation Center. It was a 9-month program. I almost fell out of the chair, but this was free of charge, and there I was saved. The call came back. At 54 years of age, I became one of the oldest cadets in the history of the Salvation Army. I earn far less than I ever did. I own far less than I ever acquired. There hasn't been a day since I've become an officer that I haven't been able to take some part of my life and my experience, both the dark and the light, and use it to make somehow a positive change in someone's life or to further the mission of the Army. I'm Captain John Luby of the Salvation Army, for the Salvation Army, because of the Salvation Army.